What does it take, Akshay, to get a household or a family out of poverty? I know it's not a simple answer, but let's just start somewhere.
Sure. So just like it's multidimensional as a problem, the solution would end up being multidimensional, right? You basically got to solve for a variety of things that lead to poverty. As an example, health shocks is one of the things Sudha was speaking about. Typically, that means you need water, you need sanitation that needs to be cleaned, right? Because if you've got a job and you're actually drinking dirty water, you've got cholera, you've lost your job, you need to go to hospital and you're banged down in the slide of poverty again. So you need to solve for that. You need to solve for education. You need to solve for employment, or at least an income, right? That might come through employment, might come through entrepreneurship. But whichever it is, but there needs to be a sustained income. You need to solve for some level of social security, because the government's actually brought out a bunch of schemes over the last 10 years, right? But access to them is still not necessarily for the last mile. It is still not necessarily as good, right? Like we work with waste pickers in Bangalore as an example. The iterant ones, basically the ones that are routing through my waste and your waste, because globally, even people say employed by BBMP are classified as waste pickers, right?
Okay,
the poor karmikas who you see in uniform sweeping up in the morning, but we don't work with them because from a strata perspective, they're actually much better off than the ones that we work with.
Got it. So we can say the unorganized sector.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So we work with them and we realized that a lot of them did not have waste picker cards, which meant that they were unable to access most of the government schemes. Then there is the entire migrant problem into cities, which again means that you have to get access to that. Otherwise, you can't get your typical rations, etc. All of that becomes potentially challenging, right? So you're not able to take access, even though there is infrastructure. So you have to build that extra. Education, definitely. And per se, all of this has to be supported by, at the end of the day, it has to be agency, because capacity building is critical. Again, in the social sector, we're focused on what is the sustainability, right? And sustainability is after you exit the population, what portion of the intervention stays alive and what falls away. So what falls away is not truly impact, right? It's only what portion stays in there, which is critical. And that's why agency and capacity building, so that they're able to live on by themselves. The org should not be consistently following up and doing it for them.
So you mean that people who come out of the poverty line should actually be there and sustain there?
Should be able to sustain above the poverty line, and they can, not if I am guiding them, but more if we have managed to actually imbibe in them how to think about it, right? How do I think about changing a job is a process. Typically, you and I will have done it very well in Excel sheets, but how they think about it is very different. Even as an example, when we work with entrepreneurs, in the program, we've created about 202 women who are entrepreneurs, micro-entrepreneurs. And we realized that they thought of cash flow as income. There was no working capital concept, right? So you have to go back and you have to create that. Otherwise, once that support is gone, it'll fall through. That should not be happening.